Hi everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am back with episode 14 of my Shop Your Crafty Stash series, and today the random number generator chose out a couple of Mama Elephant products for me. So it pulled out this Dog's Woof stamp set. Now I've had this for ages, really fell in love with it when it came out, but haven't really figured out how to use it. And then it also pulled out this Skybursters die set, which I figured actually would work quite well with that stamp set. I'm also pulling out the Mama Elephant Wishes Enclosed stamp set along with its coordinating die. So I went ahead and coloured, and I didn't cut out, just coloured my little images here. And I've added a kind of blue background. Now, when this stamp set was released, I fell in love with it and I had to have it. But as soon as I got it home, I really didn't know what to do with it. I was a bit lost. So I haven't used it very often. It kind of got put to the back of my stash and forgotten about. So I'm really pleased to be pulling it out today. So I have gone ahead and cut that Skybursters die using some Lawn Fawn really rainbow paper. This is from the 6x6 paper pack. And I'm going in with some Lawn Fawn lemonade ink all around the inside edge of that frame piece there. I just thought this would make it pop. Now, I have to admit, as I was doing this, I was a little unsure whether it worked. I was kind of like, I don't know if I've just ruined this piece of beautiful paper. But I carried on with it and stuck with it and figured it kind of worked in the end. I was pretty happy with it. But yeah, at this point I was a little unsure as to whether it was going to kind of pan out and pull together as I hoped it would. But I think in the long run it was okay. I have pulled out my splatter box here and my gold watercolor paint. This is a gold metallic paint, and I'm going to splatter that all over the background as well, just to add some texture and detail. And I just thought this was a little bit of a fun extra to add. As you can see, I'm going quite happily here, adding plenty of splatters and drops all over the place. And once I'm happy with the amount, I'm going to set this panel aside to dry. So once that panel was dry, I cut another one from some plain white cardstock, and I'm just layering them together. I just felt that that pattern paper was a little bit too flimsy for what I wanted. I want to pop this up on some foam tape, so I wanted to have a little bit more stability, which is the reason why I'm sandwiching these two pieces together, just to add a little bit more strength to that die cut. Once that was done, I set that off to the side for a second and pulled my other pieces back out so that I could figure out how everything was going to work together. So I have cut my card base. This is just, again, from some white cardstock. And I'm using that frame to go over my little dog panel there to figure out where exactly I want it. I'm going to lay it down so it matches up with the card base. Hope this is making sense. Flip it over, and then I'm just going to use a pencil to go around that dog panel, which I'm then going to trim down with my paper trimmer. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have moved that stamp up a little bit further so it was centered more in this panel of cardstock. I didn't do that, so I'm just figuring out where it's going to fit nicely behind that frame, and then I can pop it down onto my card base. I hope that made sense. Sometimes it's easier when you see it, but once that was done, I can pop it there on top of my card base and pop my frame over and make sure it fits in properly, which it does. So now I'm going to add some liquid glue to this panel, and I'm going to just adhere that flat down onto my card base here. Now, I made my card base like this kind of strange fold where it's longer along the top edges instead of the side edges, just because I had a piece of cardstock left over that would fit perfectly. So I figured I might as well use it. And once that was done, I'm pulling out the centerpiece that I cut from that die set, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment on it. I'm just kind of using this piece so I can use up all of my scraps and not leave any left over. So I've pulled out that Wishes Enclosed stamp set. I've got this one which says Time to Celebrate, and I'm going to stamp it out with some Versamark ink onto this white cardstock, and I'm going to do some heat embossing with some embossing powder here. So I prepped my cardstock with a powder tool and then I stamped that down with that Versamark ink. And now I have this Stampin' Stuff Detail Gold embossing powder. I have had this stuff forever and I just never runs out. I seem to have loads of it. So I decided to use that. I was hunting around for my tweezers. I can't find them. They seem to have lost. So I managed to carefully pick it up and not get too much excess powder everywhere. And then I'm just going to pull out my heat tool here, heat it up for a second, and then run it along the back of that sentiment and then onto the front, where I'm going to melt all the embossing powder and get a lovely, nice sentiment ready to go on my card base. So there it is. I'm pulling out my tiny little Heffy Doodle mini die cutting machine here to die cut it. I love this little machine. I recently got it and it's just been well used already. So I'm lining up my coordinating die there. I love these little coordinating dies with the sentiment set. There is a Christmas version of this set as well, which I have too. They're really, really great. I love the look of these kind of die cut sentiments, and they're really great for lots of different cards. I've used this set quite a lot actually. So there it is, my little sentiment's ready to go. I've stamped on the inside of my card as well. A couple of those little dogs from the stamp set are kind of separate and single, so I use them on the inside along with one of the other sentiments from that Wishes Enclosed stamp set. And now I am just peeling off the foam tape that I've attached to the back of my frame. I'm going to line that up with my card base and pop it down there. And that's all ready to go. And then I just need to pull out my sentiment here. I've added some foam tape to the bottom part of that sentiment, and I'm going to use some liquid glue onto the top part, just so that I can get it to fit kind of part inside the frame and part on top of it. And then that will be it, my card complete. So it was a quick and easy one today. Wasn't 100% sure about that pattern paper background that I made, but I think it works in the end. I think it's kind of fun and bright and colourful, and those little dogs are just so cute. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Please feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And please do subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see you come back. Thanks for joining me.